Become a subscriber and click the bell so you don't miss the most important content. And at the end of this long story, I'm waiting for your final verdict in the comments. Do you agree that the old legend is leaving, making way for a new one? Write your opinion. It's very important to me. Sometimes history moves in circles. Or, if you prefer, makes another turn. Look, the soldier and officer had a faithful, almost legendary comrade, the Makarov pistol PM. It served for decades, was part of dozens of conflicts, became a symbol of an entire era. Now imagine, it's the 21st century, technology has leaped far ahead, but in the hands of our fighter is essentially a weapon from the middle of the last century. It feels a bit awkward, doesn't it? And the question arises sharply. What next? Who will replace the old, trusted friend? Then in 2016, he appeared at weapon exhibitions and in testing centers closed to the public. Streamlined, stern, with a menacing name, the Udav, BOA. And immediately, whispers, murmurs, rumors. The Makarov's replacement, some say. No way. The PM will serve for another 100 years. Others dismiss. But time moves on, and now it's 2024. And the news that dispels all doubts. Over 3,000 of these very Udavs, having just passed all conceivable and inconceivable tests, were adopted into service by our army, hot off the press. A significant number, by the way. 3,000 isn't just handed over for testing. That's already a batch. That's already trust. That's almost a verdict. A verdict, alas, for the old friend. But why? What's so special about this new pistol that made the giant, inherently conservative military machine take such a sharp and decisive step? Let's figure out together. And not just superficially, but in depth, with historical parallels, with economic analysis. Because changing the personal weapon of an entire country's army isn't just bought new toys. It's a strategy. It's a philosophy. It's a look into the future. And we'll start, paradoxically, with the past. With that very legendary PM. To understand where we're going, we need to clearly grasp from where. Part 1. Farewell, Weapon Classic. Why the PM era has come to an end. The Makarov pistol was adopted in 1951. Just think about it. It was the 6th year after the Great Patriotic War. The country was rising from the ashes. And designer Nikolai Makarov created a weapon that became, without exaggeration, one of the best in its class. Compact, incredibly reliable, simple as a nail. Its operating principle, a simple blowback action, a simple and brilliant design. The 9x18mm cartridge, not the most powerful, but for its tasks, for close combat, for a weapon of last resort, quite sufficient. And it served faithfully, in Afghanistan, in hotspots across the post-Soviet space. It was recognized, trusted, but the world, my friends, does not stand still, especially the military world. And if in the middle of the 20th century the main threat to a soldier came from a bullet or a fragment, by the end of the century, and certainly by the beginning of the 21st, the situation changed radically. Body armor appeared. First, simple ones, made of layers of fabric, then with titanium and ceramic plates. And here an unpleasant fact for the PM was revealed. Its cartridge, the good old 9x18, was almost helpless against modern protection. It could, at best, badly dent an armor plate, but not penetrate it. And what is a pistol for a soldier in modern combat? It's not a tool for a prolonged firefight. It's a weapon that must guaranteed stop an opponent in a critical moment. When your rifle jams, when you run out of ammo, when the fight turns into hand-to-hand combat in a tight space. And at that very moment, the pistol must work. Not just wound, but stop. And if the enemy is wearing Class 3 or even Class 4 body armor, the old PM against it is like a slingshot against a tank. Feel the drama? But the problem wasn't just power. Magazine capacity. The PM holds only 8 rounds. 8. In an era when even police in civilized countries are switching to pistols with magazines holding 15, 17, even 20 rounds, 8 is a drop in the ocean. Imagine a street shootout, not even a military battle, but, say, an operation to apprehend terrorists. 2 or 3 shots for suppression, 2 or 3 for cover. and the magazine is empty. And reloading, even for a trained fighter, takes precious seconds. Seconds that in combat can cost a life. And the third problem, ergonomics. The PM was created in an era when ergonomics, individual adjustment to the hand, Picatinny rails for mounting lights and laser sights, weren't even discussed. The pistol was like a hammer, a simple grip you just had to hold firmly. But a modern soldier is not just a person with a weapon. He is an operator of a complex system. He wears a helmet with night vision. His primary weapon has red dot sights, lights, bipods, and his personal weapon must fit into this ecosystem, must be compatible with it. The PM, in this regard, is an island from the past. So a triad of problems emerges, which sealed the fate of further service for the legend. Weak penetration against modern protective gear, low magazine capacity, and complete lack of compatibility with modern tactical accessories. The Army hit a technological ceiling, and a decisive leap was needed. Not evolution, but revolution. And they entrusted this revolution to people in white coats. Not literally, of course, but the birthplace of the Udav is a true temple of engineering thought. JSC Snidikmash. This name in the weapons world sounds like Skolkovo in the IT world. The institute in Klimovsk, near Moscow, where the most advanced, sometimes futuristic weapon models were born. And if behind a PM stood one brilliant designer, behind the UDAV stand a whole team of engineers, technologists, testers led by Ivan Kozlov. Their task was formulated rigidly. Create not yet another pistol, but a weapon that would solve problems for decades to come. A weapon that would meet the challenges not of today, but of tomorrow. And they didn't start with the frame or the sights. They started with the heart, with the cartridge. Part 2, the beast's heart. Why the cartridge decides everything. In weaponry, there is an iron rule. First, the cartridge is created, then the weapon for it. Not the other way around. Because it is the cartridge that determines what the weapon will be capable of. Its power, its range, its penetration. And the designers at Snidikmash didn't reinvent the wheel. They took as a basis an already existing and well-proven cartridge, the 9x21mm Gyurza SP 10/SP11. This cartridge, created back in the 90s, was initially designed with one single goal, to penetrate body armor. And it did that brilliantly. But it had its own problem. Weapons for it, for example, the State Route 1 Gyurza pistol or the later Yergin PA, turned out to be quite massive, heavy, with strong recoil. For special forces, okay. For a regular officer or soldier, already too much. The task was ambitious, to fit the power of the Gyurza cartridge into an ergonomic, convenient for constant carry, and quick-to-use frame. And, apparently, they succeeded. The UDAV uses a whole family of SP-10, SP-11, SP-12, etc. cartridges. These aren't just bullets. They're high-tech products. Take, for example, the armor-piercing cartridge SP-10. Its core isn't just lead, but steel, hardened to the limit. This bullet, at a distance of 50 meters, confidently penetrates Class 4 body armor. Class 4. That's the level that withstands a hit from a Kalashnikov rifle bullet. Imagine the force. A soldier defending a checkpoint, and in his holster isn't just something to scare, but a tool capable, in a critical moment, of stopping even a well-protected enemy. And there's the SP-13 cartridge, with a reduced initial velocity, subsonic. Why? Simple, for covert operations. With such a cartridge and an installed suppressor, PBS, the UDAV turns into an almost silent weapon. No flash, no loud van. Just a light click and the whistle of the bullet. For scouts, for special forces groups operating behind enemy lines, this is an invaluable quality. And here we come to the first key advantage of the UDAV. It doesn't just shoot. It gives the shooter a choice of the type of effect on the target. Need to penetrate armor? Load a magazine with SP-10. Need to conduct covert fire? Switch to SP-13 and screw on the suppressor. Facing a soft target, where stopping power is more important than penetration. They're expanding bullets. This versatility is a colossal step forward. But the heart is good. What about capacity? What's the use of a powerful cartridge if there are only 7 or 8 in the magazine? And here the designers went all in. They made an 18-round magazine. 18. That's more than double the PM's capacity. Even its main domestic competitor, the Yarogin pistol PA, holds 17. One round difference isn't crucial, of course, but it's symbolic. The Udav offers the maximum. Why is this important from an economic and logistical standpoint? Let's think. The army is a giant organism. Procuring ammunition isn't like going to the store for bread. Those are contracts for millions, even billions of rounds. That's warehouses, transportation, accounting. And when you have a pistol with an 18-round magazine in service, your total ammunition requirement per soldier for performing the same combat task could theoretically even decrease. Because the soldier has a higher chance of resolving the situation with one magazine, without spending time reloading. Fewer manipulations, higher rate of fire, higher survivability. It seems like a small thing, but on an army scale, such small things add up to huge economic and tactical benefits. But all this power, capacity, would be meaningless if the weapon were unreliable. And what is the ultimate test for any mechanism, especially in Russia? That's right, frost and heat. Part 3, tested by cold and fire. Where others fail, the Udav works. Russia is a country with the harshest and most diverse climate in the world. From the polar ice, where the thermometer drops below -50, to the hot deserts of Central Asia, where the scorching sand and air heated to +50. And inside an armored vehicle in the sun, it can be all 70. And the weapon must work everywhere, without the right to fail, because failure in combat is death. And here, the Udav demonstrates simply phenomenal claimed characteristics, an operating temperature range from -50 to +70 degrees Celsius. Numbers that make Western gunsmiths, spoiled by European and American climates, stand their hair on end. How is this achieved? It's a comprehensive approach, a true engineering symphony. First, materials. The polymer from which the pistol frame is made isn't just plastic. It's a special compound that doesn't become brittle like glass in severe frost and doesn't soften like clay in hellish heat. Steel parts undergo special treatment, special coating that prevents corrosion and preserves the metal's properties. Second, lubrication. Ordinary gun lubricant thickens in the cold, turning into a kind of jelly. The action starts moving slowly, with interruptions, and may stop altogether. The Udav uses frost-resistant lubricants that maintain fluidity in extreme conditions. Third, tolerances. The designers consciously calculated the internal tolerances between parts to be sufficient for operation during thermal expansion of the metal and heat, but not excessive, to avoid loosening and loss of accuracy. Imagine the contrast. A Chelyabinsk winter. Temperature outside the APC -45. A soldier in warm gloves. He needs to draw his weapon and be ready for battle. The pistol, which has been lying in a cold holster, must fire the first time, without delays. The Udav is designed for that. Now, let's move to the Syrian desert. Sand, dust, heat around 50. The weapon is covered in a layer of fine abrasive dust. And it must work too, because the real enemy won't wait for you to clean your pistol in a cozy barracks. This all-weather capability isn't an advertising gimmick. It's a harsh necessity dictated by Russia's geography and geopolitics. Our army must be ready to fight and win anywhere in the world, in any climatic conditions. And its weapons must match this level of ambition. But a good weapon isn't a monolith. It's a platform, like a smartphone to which you can connect different accessories. And the Udav is exactly that. Part 4. One pistol for all occasions. How the Udav turns into a platform. One of the main trends in modern weaponry is modularity. Why create 10 different pistols for 10 different tasks from scratch, if you can make one successful base and 10 different attachments for it? Economically, more profitable. In training, simpler. In logistics, more convenient. And the Udav was designed from the start as such a platform. Already we see at least 4 of its main versions. First, 6P72. This is the basic soldier and officer variant. We'll go into the troops en masse. No frills, maximum reliability, and simplicity. Its task is to be with every serviceman for whom a pistol is standard issue, from a platoon commander to a tank driver mechanic. Second, 6P72-1. Now this is the pistol for the elite. It has a threaded barrel for mounting a suppressor, enlarged, high-contrast sights for shooting in twilight, and, most importantly, a Picatinny rail under the barrel. On this rail, you can mount a tactical light, so as not to shoot your own in the dark, a laser target pointer to shoot quickly without spending time aiming, or even a compact red dot sight. This is a weapon for GRU Special Forces, for FSB units, for Marines storming a building. A weapon for professionals, for whom the pistol isn't the last argument, but one of the main working tools. Third, ASPID, RG120-1. This is the civilian version. Appeared in 2019-2020, and its appearance is a landmark event. First, it's a test. The toughest reliability test. Thousands of rounds on civilian ranges from people who bought the weapon with their own money and will use it in a variety of, sometimes merciless, conditions. Any problem, any design flaw will be identified and become public knowledge. The fact that the ASPID entered the market and is in demand speaks of the developers' high confidence in their product. Second, its popularization. When civilian shooters, bloggers, instructors start using and praising this weapon, it creates a positive image not only of the pistol itself, but of the domestic weapons school as a whole. It's an element of soft power, patriotic education. Fourth, POLAS, RG120-2. A shortened, compact model, designed for concealed carry. It's shorter and lighter than the base one. Ideal for FSO officers protecting top officials, for bodyguards, for aircraft crews where every centimeter and gram counts. This proves the platform's flexibility. You can cut out precisely the tool needed for a specific task from it. Such modularity is a look into the future. The army of the future isn't a monolithic mass of soldiers with identical weapons. It's a network of highly professional specialists, each with their own set of tools for their task. And the Udav as a platform fits perfectly into this concept. Part 5. The difficult path to the troops. Trials, competition, and the verdict for the PM. It would seem everything is great, new weapon, modern, powerful. Take it and adopt it. But not so simple. The path of any new model into the Russian army is a long, painful, and extremely bureaucratic process. Trials, and more trials. Endurance, shooting, tens of thousands of rounds in a row. Measurements of grouping and accuracy. Tests for parts lifespan. Tests in sand, water, mud, freezing chambers, and thermal pressure chambers. And most importantly, comparative trials with what already exists. That is, with the PA, Yeragin, which itself not so long ago replaced the PM in some units. This is where the real drama unfolded. Two modern pistols created in the same country, at the same time, but by different teams. Each has its own admirers in the military leadership, its own lobbyists at the manufacturing plant. The PA is an excellent pistol. Reliable, powerful, the same 9x21 cartridge, with good ergonomics. It's already adopted by the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and the National Guard. It would seem, why change anything? Why bring confusion into the supply system, into training programs? But, apparently, the Udav was able to prove its superiority in key aspects, possibly due to greater production technology, promising lower cost in perspective, possibly due to slightly better ergonomics or greater service life, or possibly due to that very platform factor, which allows creating different variants from one base. The PA is a PA everywhere, but the Udav is a family. The result of this struggle, invisible to the general public, was that very contract for the first 3,000 units in 2024. This isn't just a purchase. It's a signal that the military department has made its choice, that the future belongs to the Udav, and that the era of the PM, lasting almost 3/4 of a century, has come to its logical and historical end. It's inevitable. Technology doesn't stand still. Threats change, and weapons must change with them. The Makarov pistol was a symbol of its era, an era of simplicity, reliability, and mass production. The Udav is becoming a symbol of a new era, an era of high technology, individual approach, and tactical flexibility. Conclusion: what's the bottom line? A look into the future. So what do we have in the end? Before us isn't just a new pistol. Before us is a system that combines the crushing power of an armor-piercing cartridge, an unprecedented magazine capacity for a pistol, phenomenal all-weather performance, and the flexibility of a modular platform. This is a weapon created not for parades, but for the real war of the 21st century. For war in the city, in the mountains, in the desert, and in the Arctic ice. It has already passed the most difficult stage, the stage of recognition. The first large batch has been accepted. The road to the troops is open. Of course, it won't replace the PM in 1 year. Old pistols will still serve for a long time in rear units, in training establishments. But the vector is set. The new standard model of personal weapon for the Russian serviceman already has a name. And that name is Udav. And what do you think? Do you agree that the Udav is a worthy heir to the legendary Makarov? Or maybe you believe the PA still has chances. Or perhaps you adhere to the old school and believe the PM will still serve. Your opinion is extremely important to me. Write in the comments, let's discuss. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you found this deep dive interesting. This will help us make even more content like this for you. Thank you for staying with us until the end.